Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahavirnavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Om Satchidananda Rupaya Vishvotpatyadi Hetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Namaha. Shantakaram Bhujagashayanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gagana Sadrisham Meghavarnam Shubhangam Lakshmi Kantam Kamalanayanam Yogibhirdhyanagamyam Vande Vishnum Bhavabhayaharam Sarvalokaikhanatham. Hari Om. Salutations to all. So in this Adhik Maas, Purushottam Maas, one of the sadhanas is to listen to the glory of Bhagwan. So various stories we will take up from Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we are taking up from the 6th canto. So the 6th canto is about Poshanam. It is about how Bhagwan nourishes and protects. So here, one of the things Parikshit Raja is asking Shukdev ji in the 6th shloka of the first discourse here, Adhuneha Mahabhaga Yathaiva Narakan Naraha Nano Graya Tananneya Atan Me Vyakhyatum. So he had described various types of hells in the 5th canto. So Parikshit Raja is asking here this question, that while be living in this world and acting, how is it that a person can escape from the hell? And those who think that there is no heaven and hell afterwards, it is not true. Heaven and hell, no doubt, one may say that, okay, a peaceful state of mind is heaven, a negative state of mind is hell. That is adharmik drishti. If we say harmony is there in the world outside, that is hell, heaven, and if there is disharmony, that is hell, that is adhibhautik drishti. But there is adhidaivik also. So there are realms of consciousness. So Parikshit Raja has asked about that. And Shukdev ji says that since everybody does, not that it is justified, but it is human that we have weaknesses, we get tempted, we get distracted from the path of dharma, and we may land up doing what is, what is a sin, what is adharma. The result of that will be to experience the negative karma phala, which is papa. One has to go through hell. So Shukdev ji here he says that if a person does not atone in this very lifetime in the proper way, does not do the prayaschitta, one does mistakes, but if one does not do the prayaschitta, then whatever sins one has committed through the body, speech, through the mind, that person inevitably has to go to hell. And those here already described in the earlier chapter, he says. And there the jiva goes through different types of punishments, troubles. The idea is karma gives karma phala. Negative karma will give negative karma phala, positive karma will give positive karma phala. The intention matters, that with what intent the karma has been done, and also the doership, that if I am the karta, then I am the bhokta. So he says that sins people do, no doubt, but prayaschitta also is given. If nishiddha karma is done, then prayaschitta karma also should be done. Now he says here that if somebody has done that, not done that prayaschitta karma, definitely one will go to hell. Therefore, what should be done? When the body is still strong enough, one should do prayaschitta while living here and now itself. And depending on what is the gravity of the negative karma, the sin that one has done, accordingly one should do the prayaschitta. And he gives an analogy. He says that just as a physician who knows the cause of maladies would adopt prompt remedies. According to the disease, the proper medicine is given. And, suddenly a high dose of antibiotics is not given for something which is very simple to be cured. So accordingly, considering the gravity of the situation, a person has to do the prayaschitta. Now, Parikshit Raja asks a further question. He says that even though one knows that what one is going to do is a sin, it is going to hurt oneself, it is going to hurt others. But sometimes what happens, our mind is weak. So knowingly we do the sin. Then we repent, we feel sad about it, and then we do prayaschitta also for it. But once again the mind gets tempted to do the same mistake, same sin again. So he says he repeats it even after atoning for it. Why? Because one has lost control over one's mind, oneself. So in such a circumstance, what can be done? See, this is very human for many of us to go through, that we do something wrong, we know it is wrong, we feel guilty about it later on, then we do prayaschitta for it, but again the tendency does not go. Again we make the same mistake. Even simple things it applies. We are on the 6th chapter, discourse 1, 6th canto, discourse 1 in Bhagavatam. So even for simple things like telling lies, or even when, let us say keeping up till late in the night, not waking up in the morning early. If you go by the Shastra, it is said if those who get up after sunrise are Rakshasas. Taking bath after sunrise is called Rakshas bath, Snan. The idea is Bhagwan is appearing in front of us as Surya Narayan Bhagwan. We have to be there to, offer worship to Bhagwan. Anyway, our scientific knowledge also today says that the metabolism goes by the clock of the sun. So sleep early, wake up early, that is good and all that. We may know all this also. We know the harmful effects of it also, but still we are not able to do. I'm giving simple example. There are such heinous crimes and sins also where the person is under the grip of that and not able to come out. So he says here that how can there be any atonement under such circumstances? Because the sinful tendency is still there, that is making this person do the wrong thing. So he keeps getting absolved from the sin and again keeps doing, again keeps getting absolved, again keeps doing. So he says that the example he gives, it is like the bath of an elephant. Bath of an elephant means what? See, elephant goes into the water, takes bath, sprinkles water and everything, and goes again, takes a dip in the lake and all that. Then the elephant comes out and again takes the mud and puts on itself. So what is the use of that bath? So he says, a human being is doing like this, then what to do? So now Shukdev ji, he gives two very beautiful points. What are the points? So first one, he says that karmana karma nirharo nahyatyantika ishyate avidvad adhikaristvat prayaschittam vimarshanam. So prayaschitta can be done by a person, but as long as there is ignorance, the person does not know who one is, the possibilities of the person committing the same sin again, doing the same adharma again is very high. And so he says that the true atonement is only getting Brahma Vidya, to get the knowledge of the self. But what happens? Those people, so to attain the knowledge of the self is not very easy. And one should be purified in the mind to attain the knowledge of the self. Because the mind is not pure, one is committing the sin. So how will one get the knowledge of the self? So it's a vicious circle. To be completely free from sin, I must have self-knowledge. But to get that self-knowledge, I must be pure enough. So here he says that somebody who practices discipline, who has attained the self-knowledge, who has concentration of the mind, who lives in brahmacharya, who has subjugated the mind, controlled the senses, does charity, is truthful, has purity of the mind, follows ahimsa. All this one is doing. For such a person, what will happen? These people are able to get rid of even the greatest sin committed through the body, mind, and speech. How? Just like the fire will destroy a huge thicket of bamboos. Now, people who are able to live righteously, following dharma like this, doing deep sadhana, focusing on the knowledge of the self, for them this is possible, he says. So that is first upai. You get to know the self, then the doership will destroy completely, then the person doesn't anymore commit sin. Then the second he says here is, there are those few souls who are devoted to Bhagwan Vasudeva. So one is Jnana, which will help, and whatever preparation is required for it. But second he says is the bhakti towards the Lord. And so he says that there are people who are devoted to Bhagwan Vasudeva, destroy their sins completely, along with the root cause, which is ignorance, through mere devotion. Just like the sun destroys the mist in its entirety. Now, he says here this power of Bhagwan's name. Now, he will come to that. So he says that even a sinner is not purified so well through various other practices like tapasya or any other prayaschitta that one does, as much as one is when one serves, when one is devoted to Bhagwan Krishna, and who serves the devotees of Bhagwan Krishna. Krishna, Vasudeva, all of them same. So this path of devotion is the best, he says, in this world, because it has no fear from any quarter. And those who walk this path, who are devoted to Bhagwan, they are able to purify themselves by merely taking the name. And so he gives another example here. those people who are away from Bhagwan and do all this, what was said above, if they have not surrendered to Bhagwan, they may do tapasya, they may do charity, they may do, live in ahimsa, live in brahmacharya, speak the truth. One may do all that, but if one has been away from Bhagwan, has not surrendered to the Lord, does not have bhakti in the heart, then he says that it is like so many rivers also cannot purify a jar of wine. But they who have just once, see the power of Bhagwan's name now. He says, just even once in their life, they have fixed their mind on the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, will never behold even in a dream Yama and his servants who carry a noose, since they have done the atonement. Why? Just once they take the name of Bhagwan also is enough. So now he said all this. Parikshit Raja is looking at him saying, okay, this is the knowledge you have given to me. Please give me one case study. Management people today, they have case studies. What is the case study? So Shukadevji gives case study. So what does he say? There was this Brahmana in the city called Kanya-Kubja. Is today's Kannauj. In this Kanya-Kubja, there was this Brahmana who was living, and his name was Ajamila. So this Ajamila, actually, if you see the backstory of Ajamila is very strong, very, very good. Yamadutas themselves, they explain the backstory of Ajamil. So this Ajamil, who was he? He was a very learned Brahman. And he had the knowledge of the Vedas. He had good conduct. He was very virtuous. Ayam hishruta sampannaha shila vritta gunalayaha dhrita vrato mridurdantaha satyavan mantravichuchihi. This is 56th shloka. So he was he was having the knowledge of the Vedas, verily an abode of amiability, good conduct, virtues. He had taken a vow of worship and prayer. He had controlled his senses. He was gentle, truthful, well versed in the mantras, and pure in habits. He also did yajnas. He also did the Panchama yajnas, offered oblations, meaning he was a Brahmana who was doing all his duties very well. And he served his gurus. He also used to take care of any atithis who used to come. He would take care of the elders. He was a friend of all living beings, free from ego, pious, and very pure by heart. Such a Brahman also, once what happened when he went into the woods, as per his father's command, he had gone into the forests and he was coming back taking some fruits and flowers and some wood for the yajna. What does he see there? He sees that there is a Shudra who is having carnal pleasure with a prostitute there. So he looks there in that direction and he finds that they both are drunk and they both are reveling in a sense pleasure, and this woman is completely, both of this man, this woman, they both are completely, without clothes and all that. And now he saw that, he kept moving, came back to his house. But what was the impact of that thing on his mind? So he saw this, what is said here is that they both were drunk. Her eyes were swimming through intoxication. She was in half-naked condition, singing and joking with her. This man was there. Seeing her folded in the arms of that Shudra, which was painted with unguents exciting lust, this Ajamila arose in him more. So what happened to him? Extravagant passion arose in him and he succumbed to that. Succumbed to that in the sense he came back, but he is not able to remove that sight from his mind. It's very important. That's why is what we see and what we hear. And that creates such a powerful impact on the mind. It is not easy to remove that. And we take it for granted so easily. Anything we see, anything we hear, anything we speak, anything we eat, and then we say the mind is not at peace. How it will be? So sense control is very crucial. Now look at this Brahmana. So you see his background. He is such a pious person, following all the dharma, has studied the Veda, is doing seva. Even that person. So it's not enough just to have these virtues. So it is very important to also be extremely cautious and alert, because which vasana is there in us and what will manifest and which is dormant and which will suddenly manifest, nobody knows. Till one doesn't realize Brahman, one has to be very alert. So this Brahmana, he came back and he tried to control his mind through his, logical knowledge. And he was married also. He had a young wife. It is not that he has not enjoyed sense pleasure. He has enjoyed that sense pleasure also. But the mind now was so overpowered. In the Manusmriti it comes, Kama Turanam na bhayam na lajja. Somebody who is overpowered with kama will not have fear and will not have any shame also. That is the way the kama can overwhelm a person. So this Ajamil, he got overwhelmed with this kama vritti. And what happened? That even though he was very learned, this kama vritti so overpowered him that all his knowledge got eclipsed. Not only that, he was spending time thinking of that lady alone. He stopped doing his duty, stopped doing the yajna, stopped treating people properly. And what did he do? He went and met her. He started spending time with her. He started spending all the wealth that he had also on her. He had this young wife. He fought with her. He kicked her out of the house. And he did everything to please this lady, this prostitute. And what happened? Slowly, whatever money he had, wealth he had, all that he lost. What he was given by his father, all that he lost. He sent out his wife also. And he started spending more time with this lady. He brought her into the house. He married her. And he started living with her. He started begging and he started borrowing money from people just to please this woman. And slowly he started a family also with her. He had many children. 10 children he had with her. You just think about it. One simple act of perception which went into his mind and what it has led it to. You just think. The word Ajamila literally means, it has two meanings. Aja and Mila. Aja means Maya. Mila means combined with. Meaning one who is completely under the control of Maya. Ajamila. And Aja and Amila. Aja means Bhagwan, Supreme Lord, unborn. Amila means not mixed, meaning somebody who has not connected to the Supreme and is completely enmeshed in Maya is Ajamila. So who is Ajamil? Swamiji, that Brahmana of that Kanya Kubja is Ajamil. Each of us are Ajamil. Each of us, we may have knowledge, we may be seekers, we may be walking the path, but any one sight like this can bring so much into our mind and distract us, make us go away from the path of dharma, make us compromise And does it not happen? So many things that we see, just like that, it will affect. Some advertisement we see and then we feel that, yeah, this I should do binge watching, 6 episodes, one by one, I will just finish seeing. And what did you sign up for? 5:30 morning mantra meditation, Shiva mantra meditation. What time did you go to sleep? 5 o'clock in the morning. Why? Because binge watching something. Just one advertisement or one message from somebody saying, have you watched this? His new series has just released. It is so amazing. I just I can't stop at one episode. I just had to finish it. And your friend has finished watching it. Now, one is lost. Next day morning, you have to get up and do some work, finish your, some timeline for a project, but everything is pushed. One side. This Ajamil's example there's many things to learn from here. So he saw this one thing and look at the whole process, a whole chain of events that has happened after that. His wife he has sent out. He is spending time doing all adharmik things. All dharmic duties that he was doing has stopped. All the wealth he has earned is gone for a waste. Now he is borrowing money from people, taking loan. And this stupid fellow, like this, he has lived his life completely. You see, sometimes the power of impulse and power of emotion can come, which makes a person do something. But now he has spent so many years with this woman. 10 children are born. And it is said that this 10th child was the youngest, the smallest child that was just born. One day, one Sadhu Mahatma came to that place. And that Sadhu was asking around that who is the most pious person in this city, in this town. So somebody by mischief told him that house of Ajamila, he is the most pious person, go there. Now the Sadhu went there. The moment he went inside that house, he realized, what is this? Somebody has misguided me here. But he saw the woman there. He saw this small child there. And he asked the woman that, what is the name of this child? So the Sadhu said, so she said that, he has been born and just few days have passed and nobody has come and, his father, he is not here. So nobody has done the namkaran of this boy. Can you please help me? So the Mahatma Ji said, all right. He understood the situation there. He was a great sadhu. He understood that this person has got tempted, distracted. And he said the only way, one of the ways is to bring him back is chant the name of Bhagwan. So he said, let the name of this boy be Narayana. And so saying, he left. Now you just see one incident that this Ajamil went through, distracted him completely. And there's one instance where the sadhu came, some punya of Ajamil that the sadhu came to his house and gave the name Narayan to the 10th child. Now Ajamil returned. When he returned, he saw this small boy. He was so fascinated. Hey, this small boy, and he got more and more attached to this small boy. He has now become 88 years old. 10 children he has, and the smallest child is Narayan. He is 88 years old now, this Brahmana. And he got so fascinated and attached to this child. But he did not realize that his time for death is near. And so what happened? This Ajamil he was, playing with his son. It is said here that when now we come to shloka number 24, 25. Tasya pravayasa putra dashatesham tu yo vamaha balo narayano namna pitroscha daito bhrisham. So it is said here that he got so attached to this tiny infant. This old fellow felt extremely delighted watching the sports of this tiny infant, and he had 10 sons. Who was the youngest of them was Narayana, who was just a small child, and he was greatly loved by the parents. Whenever he will eat food, he will feed the child. Whenever he drinks anything, he will give it to the child also. The silly old man did not perceive the hour of death that has come to him. So attached he was to the child. Putra moha, or what we call that, the maya of the child. Putra not meaning son only, it means the child. One loves the child so much. And just imagine, it is the 10th child. It's not the first child. 10th child it is. By now he should have got seasoned, knowing that, okay, how the children are, how they grow up and all that. And he has seen 9 times the children growing. Not that 10th child one should not love or anything like that, but he got so attached to the 10th child that he did not realize the time of his death has come. Now, when the time of death arrived, what happened to him? He suddenly saw 3 terrible figures who have appeared. And they have wry faces, their hair is standing on the end, they have a nose in the hand, and they have come to take Ajamil. So this Ajamil, he was very disturbed because he understood that, oh God, my time of departing has come and I am so attached to my son, I don't want to go, I don't want to die. In that agony and in that anxiety, he called out, Narayana. So this Ajamil, when he called out the name of the son, what happened? Suddenly, 4 divine beings came there. Hearing the name of their Lord Narayana, 4 divine beings come there. They look exactly like Bhagwan Vishnu. So they also have this Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma and all that, and they are the Parshads of Bhagwan Vishnu. So they suddenly come there, and Lord Yama's Dutas, they ask, who are you? Why are you interfering with the authority of Lord Yama? We are here to take this Jiva. His time has come and he has done such terrible karmas. He has to go to hell. We have come here to do our duty, to do our dharma. Now, why are you interfering with our duty? So, all these Dutas, Yamadutas and Vishnu Bhagwan's Dutas, they are having this argument, and they wonder also, who are you? Because they don't know. It's apparently these Yamadutas, they don't know that these are Dutas of Vishnu Bhagwan. So they see that, you have also 4 hands, you have Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, and you have bow, arrow, the quiver, all that. And you are very luminous, and where you go, the light is spreading everywhere and darkness goes away. We are Yamadutas. Who are you? So the Vishnu Dutas, they say, they heartily laugh and they address the Yamadutas. What do they say? Yuyam Vaidharma Rajasya Yadi Nirdeshakarinaha Bruta Dharmasya Nastatvam Yacha Dharmasya Lakshanam. He says, if you are really the servants of Lord Yama, please tell us what is the true character of Dharma. Dharmasya Lakshanam Yacha. Katham svidriyate dandaha kim vasya sthanamipsitam dandya kim karinah sarve ahos svitkati chindranam. So they ask him, that how do you give punishment? Who is intended to be the object of punishment? Are everybody subject to punishment or only some people subject to punishment? You please tell all this. So these Yamadutas are being questioned by the Dutas of Bhagwan Vishnu. So what do the Yamadutas they say? This portion is a very beautiful portion. In detail, lot of things are given here about law of karma, etc. We will see it in brief here. So what they say is, see in this shloka number 40. So first of all, what is dharma? So in shloka 40 it says, Veda pranihito dharmo yadharmastad viparyayaha vedo narayana sakshat swayam bhuriti shushruma. What is dharma? What is prescribed by the Veda is dharma. And when somebody goes against the Veda, that is adharma. Vedo akhila dharma moolam, it is said. The entire foundation of dharma is Veda. And this Veda has come from where? Vedo Narayana. Veda is Bhagwan Narayana himself. Sakshat. Vedo Narayana Sakshat. And Swayambhu. They have come into being by grace of Bhagwan. So Veda is dharma. First of all, they say that what is given in the Vedas is dharma, and the Vedas state that the jiva gets physical body, the mind, intellect, with the senses and all that. The jiva gets a physical body, and the jiva goes through, because the karta bhav is also there as a human being. We are talking about a human being now. So the jiva has a sense of individuality, and in the human birth one has a choice. So one is having the capability of choosing, of purushartha, and one can choose what one wants to, and then with the buddhi one is able to do the actions, and as per one's choice one will get the karma phala. So this jiva does karmas, and obviously every karma will not give results immediately. Some karmas will give now, some karmas will give later. So he says here that different karmas that jivas have done, they will determine the different bodies of the jiva in future. Now the jiva has to reap the karmas that the jiva has done. The jiva cannot escape from that. Ayam hi shruta sampannaha. This person, Ajamila, he was a very devoted person, devoted to the study of the Vedas and following the dharma of the Vedas. Now, because of that wrong incident that he saw, he has become a sinner. And he has done all kinds of sins which are most terrible. And being a Brahmana, when he has done the sin, the punishment is also very, very high. That's what was said earlier, that depending on the malady, the dosage is given. Same way here. Now the Brahmana committing such terrific things, where all the knowledge one has, the karma phala for that Brahmana is going to be terrible. He said, we have come to deliver that only. So it is very simple. He did not practice the dharma given in the Vedas. He did not do the atonement for all the wrong things also that he has done. It is natural that people may fall and they make mistakes, they will do sins, but atonement also he has not done. Remember this whole background. The context was that those who do atonement here and now, they get freed from that, but those who don't do atonement, they definitely have to go to hell. All that was said earlier. So he said this person has not even done the atonement. And one very powerful thing he says here, this discourse that the Yamadutas they give, in that they say that the sun, the fire, the sky, the air, the indriyas, the moon, the morning, the evening twilights, the day and night, four quarters, water, earth, time, and Dharmaraj. These all factors are the witness of the jiva's good and bad karmas. You see this Bhagavatam, what it is saying, we people ask now, who decides what is right and wrong? Tell us who decides what is right and wrong. We will decide as per our internal compass. That is only one criteria. And that also if it is guided properly as per the knowledge of the Vedas. Who is the witness of all this jivas, good karmas and bad karmas? So many factors which were given. For us, we think that all these are, inert things. How can the sun, the fire, the sky, the air, the moon, all this, how can they decide anything? But please remember, there are devatas of all these. And these devatas are there. And they have their presiding deity's job. So they will do their work. And one of their duties is this, to be a witness of all these. So 42, the shloka is 42. If you read that 42nd shloka, he says that Suryogni Kamma Rudgavaha Soma Sandhyahani Dishaha Kanku Kalo Dharma iti Hyete Daihyasya Sakshinaha Etairadharmo Vijnataha Sthanam Dandasya Yujyate Sarve Karmanurodhena Dandamarhanti Karinaha. So clearly it is said here, by the evidence of all these, unrighteousness will be decided, righteousness will be decided. And as per that, whatever is done unrighteously, that will deserve a punishment. And all the doers, without distinction, deserve punishment for their sinful actions. Meaning, if you do good karmas, then the bad karmas will get mutually cancelled. That will not happen. Every karma will give a result. So if any negative karma is done, these are all sakshis for it. They will tell you the witness, they will be bearing witness, and one will get the negative karma, and one has to go through that punishment for that. Why is it that human being does good and evil? Because one is associated with Prakriti, because of the combination of the Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, and one fluctuates in this combination of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. One goes through ups and downs. So Bhagwan says, the Yamadutas, they say here that the jivas, they will go through ups and downs, and they will go through the karmas because of the three types of gunas, the karmas that they do. The karma phalas also they will get is of three types. So what are those three types? So happiness, misery, and a mixture of both. For good karmas, they will get happiness. For negative karmas, they will get sorrow. And if some karmas have both shades, then they'll get mixture of happiness and sorrow both. Now, he says, the Dutas say that our master, Yamaraj, he is another Brahma, as it were. He clearly perceives at his own capital, Samyamani, that is the name of the capital of Yamaraj. By his very mind, the earlier lives also of the departed soul, and reflects with his mind on the future also, and then dispenses justice. He does not just decide impulsively anything. He takes into account the entire life of the jiva. Future also means what? Which prarabdha karma is about to give result for the jiva to take a new body. From sanchit karma, what karmas is the jiva has done, that is the past sanchit karma, full. Then the jiva has done karmas now, drop the body. Now what will be the karmas which are ready to give result, for which the jiva has to get another body? Keeping the past in the mind, also the future in the mind, appropriately this present life, what this jiva has done, keeping all this in mind, our Lord dispenses justice. So they are saying to Vishnu Dutas that, it is not like somehow we have just come here and we want to take this Ajamila and go away. His past is considered, his future karmas are considered, all this is going to happen, and then our Lord gives the justice. Then he says, this jiva identifies, so he gives one example here. Even as a man in sleep, meaning in the dream, treats as his self the body revealed in the dream alone, and not the one existing before the dream state, not that which will follow the dream state, so the ignorant jiva also identifies with this one body. Meaning the waker who is lying on the bed before the dream and after the dream, one has forgotten that. Then one thinks, I am one dream character. Like that, this jiva has forgotten its true nature, has identified with one BMI, and now this identified with one BMI, the jiva is doing karmas and does not know the past life, does not know future life, because got identified with one body. And then keeps doing this karmas and has to keep going in the cycle of birth and death. So the jiva, as long as one is identified like this, that jiva will be subjected to karma, and we are only giving the karma phala. We are not being partial at all. That ignorant jiva who has not subdued the five senses of perception and the mind is prompted to fall back upon action, and will keep doing this good karmas, bad karmas, mixture of good karmas and bad karmas. Now, this soul has degenerated like this. From the state of infinite consciousness, it has come down to this level of one helpless jiva bound in this cycle of birth and death, going, round and round in this cycle of birth and death. Why? Because identified with the Prakriti. So he says this degeneration of the soul has been due to its association with Prakriti, with matter. And the degeneration ceases before long through devotion to God. So they also say, Yamadutas also say that devotion to God will help this jiva to drop this identification with the Prakriti. So now this Ajamila who has done all this, he did so much of negative karmas, though he was a Brahmana, and he did not even do any atonement for this. So we have to definitely take his soul. You cannot stop us from that. So they say in this last shloka here, Tata enam dandapanehe sakasham krita kilbisham neshyamo akrita nirvesham yatra dandena shuddhyati. Now, it's very important one point they say here, that they say that we will take this Ajamil's jiva, this sinner who has not done any atonement. Why will we take him? We will take him to the presence of Yama, where through punishment he will be purified. So if the punishment is given, it is meant for purification. It is not to condemn that person as a sinner. If for a wrong karma punishment is not given, one will continue to do wrong more and more and more. Eventually it will lead to more suffering only. So this danda has to be given for a negative karma, and he is the Lord of justice. Yamaraj is Dharmaraj, so we will take him there. So there the chapter 1 ends. Now the chapter 2 begins in this 6th canto. So when the Vishnu Dutas heard all this, they replied to Dharmaraj Dutas. What did they say? Very interesting. They say, Aho kashtam dharmadrisham adharmasprishate sabham yatra dandyeshva papeshu dando vyaidhriyate vritha. He says, what a pity that unrighteousness should penetrate even the court of the knowers of dharma. Straight away they say that Yamaraj is supposed to be Dharmaraj, and even his court is penetrated by adharma. What a pity it is. Adharma sprishate sabham. Why do they say that? Because punishment is being unnecessarily inflicted by the very knowers of dharma on sinless people. They don't deserve any punishment. Acha, how is it like that? Then they say that if you are unequal, so if iniquity appears in the hearts of those who are protectors, like the father or a teacher of the people, or those who are beneficent, if such people also become unequal, then whose refuge will people take? And whatever great people do, the others will just follow. One interesting thing I found in this first chapter, when the Yamadutas are giving one discourse on the reason why they have come there. If you see shloka number 53, it is almost 80% what we find in the Gita. Nahi kaschit shanamapi jatutishtatya karmakrit karyate hyavashak karma gunai swabhavik kairbalat. That's there in the third chapter of the Gita. Same thing. First half is the same. Not a single moment one can be without doing action. And you will be pushed to do action. By what? There it is said, Sarva Prakriti Jair Gunaihi. Here it is said, Gunai Swabhavikair Balat. Meaning by your own gunas, you will be pushed to do karma. And same way in the second chapter of this sixth canto also, Yadyad Acharati Shreya Nitarastattadihate Shreyan Itarastattadihate Sayat Pramanam Kurute Lokastadanu Vartate. Again, third chapter, same verse. Little modification. Acha, they have shoplifted, huh? The idea is Bhagwan Vedavyasji is the author of the Bhagavatam also and Gita also. So what is wrong in that? The principle is the Yamadutas are being told by Vishnu Dutas that whatever great people will do, others will just follow, and Yamaraj is looked upon by everybody. How can Yamaraj do injustice? How can Yamaraj do adharma? How can he give punishment to those who are sinless, who are not deserving any punishment? Then they say that like a brute, the common man himself has no knowledge of righteousness or unrighteousness and generally sleeps at ease over this question, resting his head on the lap of another. Meaning they depend on the ruler and preceptor. The guru is there or the king is there. They depend on them. They will do nyaya, they will do dharma. We don't know what is dharma, adharma, all that. Now, if they themselves, those people themselves do. So, example he gives is the child sleeps happily in the lap of the mother with the full faith that the mother will protect me. Now, if the mother doesn't protect the child, then who will protect? Same way, common people, they depend on the king, they depend on the guru, they will know what is right and wrong, and they will guide. Now, the king here, Dharmaraj, if he is doing adharma, then what to talk more about this? So, now they are wondering, the Yamadutas are wondering, what is this? How is it that the Vishnu Dutas are saying all this? Because they had great faith in the Dharmaraj, that Dharmaraj is dispensing justice and this person has not done atonement and he has to be taken and he has to go to hell. The rules apply same for everybody. All that they said earlier. Now the Vishnu Dutas, they explain. Ayam hikrita nirvesho janma kotyam hasamapi yadvya jahara vivasho nama swastyayanam harehe. So they say that this person has actually done the atonement. This man has actually done the atonement, not only for the sins of this life, but even for the sins committed by him through millions of lives. So what are you talking about only one life? millions of lives of sins, whatever he has committed, this person has done the atonement. How? Even though in a helpless state at the time of death, he has done this chanting. He has, uttered the name of Bhagwan. Though it was not the intention, that he didn't think of Bhagwan and call. He thought of his son and he called. Said, though he uttered, though in a helpless state, the name of Sri Hari. It is not an ordinary name. It is the highest atonement for past sins. It is a direct means of attainment of supreme state of mukti. See, the sins are committed because we don't know oneness with the truth. And the highest of atonement is done for the highest type of sins. For both these, the solution is the name of Bhagwan. So they say that the atonement for all the sins of this sinner must have been made by the mere fact that he pronounced a mere semblance of the 4-syllabled word of the Lord Narayana. See that 8th shloka. Ete naiva yaghonosya kritam syad aghanishkritam yada narayanayeti jagada chaturaksharam. Narayana. 4 alphabets. These 4 alphabets he has already uttered. The articulation of a name of Lord Vishnu, that is the only thorough atonement for the sins of all classes of sinners. Now you see the list that is given. Be he a thief, a drinker of spirituous liquor, guilty of treachery to a friend, a Brahmana slayer, one sharing the bed of a preceptor's wife, a slayer of a woman, a king, one's own parents, or a cow, meaning slayer of all these 4. And whatever other types of sinners there may be, for thereby the Lord's own mind is directed towards the utterer. Bhagwan himself will be drawn towards the utterer. If the intention is there, then Bhagwan himself comes. If the intention is not there, then the dutas come. But either way, the name of Bhagwan by itself is powerful enough to destroy the sins of many, many lives. A sinner is not purified to that extent through any other process, like fasting, recommended by the expositions of the Vedas, as he is by the words standing as the names for Sri Hari. Articulated merely with the tongue, for the utterances of such words put him in mind of the divine attributes of the glory of the Lord. So when one remembers the name, then the form also will come in the mind, attributes also will come in the mind. Many of these things one will remember, and the mind will instantly get purified. And it is said here that, and thus qualifies the man for final beatitude by drawing him towards the Lord, the bestower of liberation. Unlike the other forms of expiation, which exhaust themselves in wiping out the sins. They only exhaust themselves in wiping out the sins. They don't finish the sinner. So the sinner can again commit the sin, which was what was said earlier. That prayaschitta, if it is done, why is it that the person is again doing? Because the doership is still there, jiva bhav is still there, and the mind may still get tempted. Some vasana is remaining of the past. So the other sadhanas and prayashchittas may not be sufficient enough. This name of Bhagwan is enough to remove all. And finally they say that what is the success of the prayashchitta? That the mind does not go back to the same. That is the success of prayashchitta. The atonement is such that one doesn't repeat the sin. Here it is said that when somebody takes the name of Bhagwan at the time of death, they can't go back. There is no possibility of doing a sin again because the body will drop. So he says here this, the process of expiation is not complete if one's mind turns back to evil ways even after the said process of prayashchitta. Therefore, in the case of those seeking the eradication of their sinful karma, the uttering of the praises of Sri Hari is the only remedy, for that will purify the mind, and there is no possibility of his reverting to the path of sin when it is taken just before the time of death. Now, because of these reasons, it is said that the name of Bhagwan is very, very powerful, and so you should not take this Ajamil away. Little more glory of Bhagwan's name is given that you can go through. When they have said this, the Yamadutas, they accept, saying ki now you have told us something which we didn't know. Sorry, we came here to take him. We are going. Now they left. When they left, this Ajamil was so relieved because the news, etc., has gone away from his throat, and he is so happy. And he wants to thank these Vishnu Dutas. They also disappear, gone suddenly. Now they are also not there. Now this Ajamil wakes up because, see, in childhood, now when we were told this story by our elders, they told the Ajamil called the name just like that, and then Vishnu Dutas came and the Yamadutas went away. Vishnu Dutas take him to the Vaikuntha and he got mukti. But when we open the book actually and read what is written in Bhagavatam, when they told me the story in my childhood, they never told all this backstory of Ajamil. They said Ajamil was a person, he was a very sensuous type of a person, and he did not have any faith in God. And he was having one child called Narayana. Like that one story is told. But this whole backstory and everything is not told. So in Bhagavatam, what happens? This Ajamila, he suddenly wakes up because he has understood this. It's in a dream-like situation. It's not that he actually died or is going to die immediately. He saw that he is on the deathbed and he is calling his son, and then these dutas and all that came. And when he heard all this, he got the clarity. So when he woke up, he said, I did not even take the name of Bhagwan willingly, and what I was, from what level of purity I have fallen to this wretched level. This is not befitting. I should leave all this. And Bhagwan, who is so compassionate, just because I called his name unintentionally, his dutas came and released me from these Yamadutas. What can I do when I actually, remember Bhagwan with all bhavana? So he repented very much. He felt very sad. He left the house, went to Gangadwar. Gangadwar is said here. Gangadwar is actually Haridwar, from the place where Mount Gangaji comes into the plains. So he went to Haridwar. He stayed there, fully dedicated himself to Bhagwan, doing his sadhana, remembering the Lord, absorbing his mind in the name of the Lord. And eventually, when he passed on, his body dropped. He went to the Yamadutas came, Vishnu Dutas came, took him, and he got Salokya Mukti. He went to Vaikuntha. Now, this is the power of the name of Bhagwan. Why did we do this story today? Because from Monday onwards, you are going to do the japa of Om Namo Narayanaya. It is a beautiful story. There's many things to learn actually if you go into these details, because after this what happens is beautiful. That we will take up tomorrow. The little more philosophy is there in this. Yamadutas go back to Yamraj and they ask him, you tell us, you are the supreme or there is anybody more superior than you? And they ask him 20 questions, because how can this jiva be liberated? He has done so much of sins, and how can we not go and take him? Many people will have that question also. One may say also that, acha, then we can do any type of sin and just say Narayana, ho gaya kaam. It is not like that. The power of Bhagwan's name is such that it will purify our mind. But our past vasanas are also such. We have to keep doing that sadhana. Yeah, this Ajamil also, he realized the power of Bhagwan's name, and then he went and he purified his mind again, lived again in dharma, and then he got the mukti. So that we will see. Tomorrow we will take up a little more of this and take some other story also. For now, we will stop here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Swamiji, for that story on Ajamila, that even a sinful individual can be redeemed from their tendency to commit sin by uttering God's divine name. That it truly says that Bhagwan nourishes and protects us. Thank you so much for that story, and we look forward for that story tomorrow also. And now we have Bona doing the closing prayers.
ॐ पूर्णमद पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम् Thank you, Swamiji. Hari Om.
Hari Om.